Hello, it's Mac here, and today I'm talking about Benny's vehicles and sort of the future of custom vehicles in GTA Online. And so recently, of course, over the past couple weeks, there's been a lot of rumors about what Rockstar is going to be doing in 2017. And of course, there's many rumors saying that they're not going to do updates in 2017, then they respond and say, yeah, we are going to do updates in 2017, but we don't know what those updates could be. And I still assume that the updates in 2017 probably won't be as big as 2016 or even, updates before. We may go back to back where, in 2014, where updates weren't, these massive, business themed updates with, crazy new CEO businesses and, different features and stuff like that. It was mostly, new guns, new cars, new clothing, maybe a few new game modes, but nothing too big. But also, I feel like it would be very nice if this year, if we got a lot more Benny's vehicles in GTA Online, and mainly of existing vehicles, because we already have many vehicles in GTA Online. I'm not sure the exact number, but it's probably in the hundreds. I would say like probably 300, 400 different cars in the game, somewhere around there. I'm not sure the exact number. There's a lot of vehicles already in the game, but a lot of them aren't really that great. Whether it's because whenever they came out, they didn't have much customization, or even just the performance on them couldn't hold a candle to some other vehicles in the game. And I feel it would be very nice if we could see vehicles that kind of fell by the wayside, whether it's because they came out with the game, and it's been like 3 years since they came out, and people have just forgotten about them, and they want to bring them back into the limelight, or, whenever they came out, there's something wrong with them. And so I feel like we could see that this year, and especially because it probably doesn't take them that long to create a Benny's vehicle. Because those vehicles already exist, you just have to add more customization, maybe make them better, stuff like that. So I want to give a brief history of Benny's, because I feel like Benny's nowadays has kind of shifted into different than what it meant whenever it came out. Now, Benny's was first added back in, I think, October of 2015 in the Lowriders DLC. And honestly, a lot of people were very excited for it, myself included, because Lowriders was one thing that a lot of people wanted in the game. And over time, I feel like people started forgetting about the DLC. Then they actually brought in 2 new sports cars, which was the Sultan RS, which is if you take the regular Sultan, you just bought the custom version and you would get a lot more customization. Same with the Banshee 900R, which is just a regular Banshee, and then turned into a supercar. And both of these were turned into supercars, and it was actually quite nice because these were sort of more sports cars instead of just the lowriders, more slow and show vehicles and stuff like that. And it was actually quite nice. I very enjoyed this was in like the January surprise update, and that was almost all that was in that update, honestly, aside from like Drop Zone and stuff. So a few months later, I think in March of 2016, we saw the Lowriders Custom Classics, which I feel like was very controversial because a lot of people, and myself included, don't want to see more Lowriders, or at least, DLCs themed around Lowriders as the main focus. Because the main problem with Lowriders is, one, they're very expensive, and I don't mind expensive vehicles as long as they're actually good. Because then I could actually justify buying that vehicle. I didn't buy really any of the actual, vehicles that were in Lowriders Custom Classics, aside from like 1 or 2, because really, they're just not worth the money. Their performance is bad, and they're in classes, at least the majority of them have bad performance, and even then, whenever they actually do have decent performance, they're in classes that aren't that great. Like, I think it was like the Minivan Custom. I think it's actually quite good in the Vans class, but how often do you actually race Vans? Same with, the Sabre Turbo Custom. I think whenever it came out, it was quite a bit faster than, the top muscle cars, but again, it's a muscle car, and, some people may enjoy racing those and stuff, but it's not as common as supercars or sports cars and stuff like that. And then whenever we saw import-export, we saw more sports cars, more supercars, and I think a lot of people really did enjoy that, how you could get these custom versions of these cars. However, I feel like there was a tad bit of disappointment here. And honestly, it was very confusing because some of them had better performance whenever you got a custom version like the Nero. It actually, got a bit better. I think it was about, and this is judging by Broofy1322's testing, so it may not be, perfect for every single situation and stuff like that. I think it was about half a second better than the regular Nero if you had the custom version, which was quite nice, but, not that big of a deal, and honestly not worth, I think, like the $600,000 price tag that the Nero Custom had, if you don't care about the customization at least. Then there were other vehicles where if you bought the custom version, you actually got a worse vehicle. The Elegy Retro Custom and the Comet Retro Custom, which I guess you could justify because there are retro customs and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's like you're spending more money and you're kind of getting a worse vehicle. Sure, you get the better customization, but you're not getting a much better performance-wise. So I feel like it kind of deters people, myself included, from even worrying about these cars. Same with the Italy GTB and the Spectre Custom. Now, and I feel like there isn't justification for these, because it's not like you're getting older cars. You're not like getting this older version. It's just a custom version. Honestly, it should probably be better than the standard ones. And I don't know if this is intentional. The main reason, and I'll have a link in the description to Broofy's testing and stuff like that, and his description of why this is, but there's some factor in game called downforce, which, and I'm not sure on this 100%, so maybe I'm a tad bit wrong, but from my understanding, the custom versions don't have downforce, or there's something wrong with them where they don't have, either it's a spoiler they don't have, or it's downforce they don't have. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll have a link in the description if you want more information, but essentially they're worse in a lot of situations than the other vehicles. So it's a tad bit strange, because like, do they want people to buy both vehicles and and just customize one, get the custom version for one, and then have the standard version? Maybe, but I don't feel like many people actually do that if they don't have that much money. I don't, and I'm sure a lot of other people won't, unless they really want the custom version and the non-custom version. Admittedly, it's not, the biggest of changes. In an actual racing scenario where, there's collisions and a different skill, one person has better driving skill than another. There's a lot that can go on in a race, so it's not the biggest deal, but it is something to keep in mind. So I feel like what Rockstar should do is not only take past vehicles that and actually make them better whenever they're custom. Don't have, some weird factors that go into it where it's like, oh, this vehicle's worse whenever you get the custom version, even though you're spending more money to get the custom version. Maybe they want like this give and take where you get the better customization and they don't want you to have both, the best of both worlds, but that just kind of seems a bit backwards to me, especially whenever you're spending so much money on the custom versions. And honestly, I just think it'd be quite nice if in 2017, if we got a lot more Benny's vehicles. I went through some past DLC vehicles and I wanted to pick out a few vehicles that I would like to see. These are not in really any particular order, but certain vehicles that I felt like were kind of disappointing whenever they came out, or have just kind of not stood the test of time really. And those are something like the Furore GT, which whenever it came out had really no customization at all. There's other vehicles like the Verlier, which I feel like could be made a bit better, and that was actually one of my favorite looking vehicles in the entire game. I think it looks amazing. There's other vehicles like in the I'm Not a Hipster update. I feel like there's a lot of vehicles in that update that could be made to look very good. Stuff like the Rhapsody, or the Lampadati Pagale, or the Vapid Blade. I think that would actually be one of the best ones. And in the Warner, and some of these vehicles do already have good customization, but I feel like they could even add more customization, because that was what I'm Not a Hipster was all about. And honestly, it's one of my favorite DLCs for it. If they wanted to do a part 2 to that DLC, and of course they would add in new guns, new weapons, and clothing and all that, and add in actual new vehicles, but also take the original vehicles and give them custom versions. I think that would be quite nice. There's other vehicles like the BF Bifta, and honestly, I would love to see even more off-road vehicles added into Benny. Stuff like the BF Bifta, or even, some trucks like the Bobcat or the Saddler, or even the Sand King would be quite nice. And not just talking about DLC vehicles, which have some original vehicles, stuff like the Coquette or the Futo, or maybe even the Penumbra. These are vehicles that really aren't that great, or the Coquette is kind of decent. In my opinion, it's one of the most fun cars to drive because it's so easy, but these vehicles just don't have the speed to compete with a lot of the top sports cars. So give them the custom versions. Not only would Rockstar make a lot of money from this, because I know I would buy, a Coquette custom or a Bifta custom, even like something from Cunning Stunts like the Raptor. Imagine a Raptor custom. That would be awesome in my opinion. And if they could actually make these vehicles better, and actually some of the best vehicles in their classes, I would love that. I think that would give new life to these vehicles, because not only would you have custom versions with, insane customization, better than, the vehicles already had, but also you would actually see them more often in races, because how often do you see, an actual Penumbra in a race? Or how often do you see, a Warner, or, some of these vehicles like the Ferrari GT? You don't see these that often. Maybe there are some people that enjoy them, but if you want like the best of the best cars, yeah, you're not going to really want to use some of those vehicles. But I feel like there's two things at play that have to happen here. One, they have to have good customization, but also I feel like if they're going to do these custom vehicles, do them right and actually make them better than the original ones, and actually make them competitive so that people actually use them. Because sure, there are people out there who don't care about, performance and stuff like that. They just want to look good. But in a lot of scenarios, I feel like it'd be best to have the best of both worlds, where you can have good customization and you'll actually have unique looking cars. But also, I don't feel like you should have to sacrifice the performance of the vehicle. Even if they don't make the vehicle better, don't make them worse. But I feel like they should be better anyways, because you're spending more money on the custom vehicles. And I feel like that may be what Rockstar is going to be doing in 2017, because it's probably quite easy for them to do, and it'll probably give them a lot of shark card sales. Anyways, from your thoughts on this in the comments, would you like to see new Benny's vehicles added to the game? And if you do want to see more Benny's vehicles, what would you like to see? Would you like to see off-road vehicles, sports cars, supercars, maybe even lowriders again? And would you like to see them actually take original vehicles and vehicles that aren't as popular anymore and give them that extra boost? Leave me your thoughts on that in the comments. Hope you enjoy. Feedback is always appreciated. I'll see you guys in the next video.